Hi everyone, April Cox here. Today's topic is focused around an introduction, a very simple introduction to Amazon ads. The target audience for this, hi guys, thank you for joining. The target audience for this is really for those that are new to publishing their books. So I see Ruth, I see some of you that are getting ready to publish. And you're going to want to know, okay, how am I going to get my book in front of the people that are on Amazon searching for books like mine or browsing a book like mine? Initially, if you've done a really good job with your launch team, like some of these authors that are just new to launching, they've done a great job of rolling things out. They've got, a launch team that has gone and purchased their books. Now we need to move forward and say, and once that dries up, you need to continue your marketing efforts. And in some cases, people just don't have a lot of time to be spending with marketing. If you're a full-time, you've got a full-time job, you're working with your book, you're trying to get things done. Marketing can be a lot of work. You also don't have opportunities right now with the situation in the world with COVID and social distancing. There are not a lot of events where authors can drop in and sell their books. School events are more virtual than they are physical. There's not a lot of craft fairs and things like that going on. Although we do hope that stuff comes back, but those kinds of things are kind of taken off the table out of our marketing efforts. So one of the opportunities that for people who are looking for other options or looking to supplement what you're already doing with your stellar marketing efforts, your influencer marketing, your email campaigns, is really looking at ads. So Amazon ads, I want to start first by kind of walking you through some of the things that you need to do. So I do manage Bobby Hinman's ad account, and I figured it would be it's more active really than mine because I kind of turned off a lot of my ads over time and have been rebooting them. So I figured this might be a good opportunity to kind of walk through some new ads for her. So when you sign in, when you go to kdp.amazon.com, you're going to sign in. If you've not yet created your account, you're going to want to have an Amazon account. This is the bookshelf where you're setting up your own books and working towards, getting everything published. So once you've got things published, there's a couple of ways that you can access your ads. Excuse me. You can you just go into a new window and type ams.amazon.com.
April, can you share your screen by chance?
Oh my gosh, I'm not sharing. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, thank you for saying something. Yeah, so let me stop sharing that. Sorry, let me go back to. All right, so you're going to want to log in to KDP. And so here's the login, kdp.amazon.com. So I've logging in here as Bobby. The bookshelf here is where you'll find a list of all of your books that you're marketing, that you've published. And now if you just launch a new tab, you can go to AMS, that's Amazon Marketing Services, .amazon.com. And you end up coming to this page here. You can sign in and just click Advertising Console. So this is one way to get to the Amazon ads. This is kind of the marketing, or I should say the campaign area. Now, the other way to get there, if you happen to be on a book, let's just say Bobby wants to advertise the jumbo coloring book. So we can go here and do promote and advertise. And then choose Amazon.com and then say create an ad campaign. So this actually goes right into creating a campaign, where with some of my activity here, I just really want to be looking at the full campaign management area versus, so right here, I can go and create a campaign. So either way, you can get into this Amazon ad area. And you can see I've done a lot of ads for Bobby, and over the lifetime of what we've been doing together, this is a great, spend a couple thousand, make 7,500. That's a fantastic turnaround for her orders. So one thing I want to say, a couple things, is when you're starting ads, there are a number of different types of ads. We're going to start with the very easy things first. But in order to get started with ads, I think the very first thing I want to do is I just want to walk you through what are we looking at here. This is kind of where all of your campaigns are listed. It's something that you'll use for managing the ads that you create. And I just think it's important for you to be able to understand what it is that you're looking at. So in order to set this up, and if you happen to be someone who has launched a book and you're starting to poke around, if you want to go ahead and, you've got another screen or something you want to pull things up with, you're certainly welcome to do that. Or when we do a check-in together with a one-on-one, if you want to pull up your ads and you want to just get some advice, or you've got questions, post them in the Facebook group and I will be glad to help you with this. So I'll just first talk about the graph here, what you're seeing. This period of time that's displayed on the graph is based on this here. You can do last 30 days, you can pick. Right now I just have it as lifetime, so you guys could kind of see the way that things have progressed over time. But if I was just doing my own ads or checking on my ads, I might just do last 7 days. Okay, so when you change this, it changes, or let's do last 30 days. So it changes the look and the period of the graph here. Oops, somebody else getting in.
Sorry, April, that's still a really good comparison on the spent money versus the sale money, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
So I will tell you that when you're looking at this, don't only consider these things.
I'm also looking at the impressions.
Yeah, so impressions, let's talk about some of the kind of the terms that we're going to use as part of the ads. So an impression is when somebody is searching or interacting with a book listing on Amazon and your book was shown as an option. So just the fact that it's shown on their screen counts as an impression. Does anybody know how much it costs for an impression with Amazon?
It's free?
Yeah, it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost anything.
Nothing.
So if your ad is shown to 1 million people, it's not going to cost you anything for those million. The time that you pay per click is when somebody actually clicks on your ads. And so, and in these, in this area over here, you can, what I would recommend is to make sure that you have your impressions, your clicks, all of these checked off so that you get a chance to see that. So you can see how many clicks you've got coming in. That way you can see, you know, are people seeing my ad? Yes. How many times are they clicking? You've got your CTR, which is click through rate, which is really just this, or I should say this divided by this, which is the fraction. It's 0.16%. It shows how much you've spent on the ad. So here is the brand ad in this period of time. And then it also shows the cost per click. Now, if you're not sure what these terms are, you can just hover over it and it says, it explains to you what that means. So they try to make it as simple as possible. Now you can also, so I'm scrolling over to the right, I can see how many orders, so 7 orders that have totaled $95 in sales. And this number here, you'll hear people talking about the ACOS. And I'm just highlighting this. It's the percentage of your sales that you spend on advertising. It's calculated by dividing your spend by the sales attributed to your ads. So here, sales, spend, the fraction of that. So if you spent $46 to sell 95, it's roughly 48% ACOS or ACOS, you'll hear people say. So there's a lot of different terminology that can get a little confusing. It will make it a lot easier. The more you work with the interface, the easier that it gets.
April, can I ask you about impressions?
Sure, go ahead.
So is that like when you're buying something on Amazon and then it says people who bought this book also bought, and then they list a whole bunch of similar books?
That is a really good question. I'm going to go to Amazon and I'm going to type anything, children's books. Okay, so now when I scroll down, do you see the word sponsored over here?
Yeah.
That means this is an ad that Diane Alber is paying for. So the phrase children's books is one of the phrases that she has purchased. Or there's an automatic ad that knows that her book is a children's book, so it's going to serve it up because, you know, that is one of the terms on the list for her. So now some down here, we see a book listed, but there's no sponsored in front of it. Okay. So if it doesn't say sponsored, it's not a result of an ad. Now, if we go inside, whoops, I don't want to click on an ad and end up costing somebody some money. This one's sponsored. Let's go to one that's not. Okay, so now I'm inside a listing. We saw that ads appear at, you know, when you're searching for things, but now there's also, here's an ad. Somebody's got something in the middle there. And then as we scroll down, books you may like, that's not sponsored. But over here, these are sponsored. So all of these count as an impression because it was served up on the page for us. And these they're paying for these terms or for this category, or they've targeted this book. So you can see that your book may also be a part of this.
So how does a book end up in that line above products related to the non-sponsored? How does a book end up there?
Oh, the products related to?
Yeah.
Or frequently bought together?
Yeah.
So frequently bought together is absolutely, it is just that. When your book, and for the longest time, Matthew Turner books and my books were sold together a lot. And he's got Christian books, really beautiful books. But for some reason, people that bought my book bought his book a lot, and vice versa. So my books were sold with his a lot. So this is just based on Amazon data. It's free.
Mm-hmm.
These are frequently bought together.
Mm-hmm.
Books you may like has to do, I believe, more with what Amazon knows about you and about your browsing history, and what you're looking at right now. And then they make some suggestions about what you might like. Okay. And let me see if there's any more things at the bottom here. Close that out. Products related to this item. So do you see there's more? So here's sponsored items at the bottom as well. So there's a lot of, and I wonder, the fact that this page, all the way down here, that was a lot of scrolling to get down there. So to me, I think these at the very bottom here are sponsored. So they're counting as impressions. But people may not even be seeing them. Do you know what I mean? So,
but that doesn't cost anything, is that right?
It doesn't cost anything, but it can be a little misleading because I think of impressions as somebody saw my ad, but it could be more my ad was served up on a page that the individual was browsing. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So maybe they didn't go all the way to the bottom of your sponsored ad and even look at it. So it can be a little misleading if you're not kind of understanding what it is that the terms are representing.
Thank you.
Anybody, everybody okay? Anybody have additional follow-ups? I know there's a lot of information on this page. Before I move on and talk a little bit more about these figures and why you shouldn't just rely on these figures, I want to give anybody an opportunity to ask questions.
So the lower the ACOS, the better, right? Because you don't want to be spending a lot per book or on the average, correct? So
right. Yeah, people do look at the ACOS, and there are some experts that will tell you don't look at ACOS because it can be very misleading. And some of that will be obvious as I kind of go into the next little bit of information that I share with you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. All right. So it says that we spent, or that she spent $2,200 since October. So we're looking at about a year here, to make $7,500. Now sales are the sales on Amazon. And we all know that Amazon takes their piece of money and we get a portion of that. So we get royalties. This dashboard is not showing what we or what Bobby actually received. It's just showing sales versus spend. Okay, so it can be a little misleading. It's a lot better if you can determine what was my profit during this time. right? So sales is one figure. So with, you know, in order to find out what was the actual, let's do this. Let's do 30 days. Actually, we'll do like year to date. Here we go, year to date. So it says $5,000 in sales. However, when we go to KDP for this book, for this time period, now I'm going to show you where I would go to see sales and kind of compare sales. So I know this is not about ads, but it helps you if you're a new author just publishing to say, okay, where do I check and find out more about my sales? Okay, so I'm going to reports, and there's new KDP report beta. And I've got, here is orders, and we're going to just choose the same custom. Let's just say January.
April, can you please show again how did you get into beta?
Okay, hold on. January to October. Okay, this doesn't like the whole year to date thing. So I'm going to get out of this and I'm going to go back in. But first of all, I'm going to go here and I'm going to choose 30 days because I know I can do 30 days here and 30 days on this dashboard. So here's the bookshelf. That's when you first log into KDP. You're in a bookshelf. You're going to click on reports, which is right here. And then at the top here, it says, try the new KDP Reports beta. Now, you could be smart, which, you know, and just bookmark this.
I obviously can't read.
So it's orders. So this dashboard shows you your orders. Here, I'm gonna do last 30 days. So this is a cool view of what you've sold, and it's all color coded, and it shows all the different books that are there and how much of the ebooks have been sold, the paperback, and total units for them. Now, Bobby has a lot of books, so there's a lot of colors on here, but it can show, you know, it shows some of the trends that have moved forward. And it also gives you an opportunity to turn off, you know, if you've had free promotions, you might have hundreds of what they're considering sales, but it's really just free book downloads. So if, you know, if that's the case, just uncheck free and look at what your paid orders are for that month. Now, I want to just quickly touch on the fact that this is really, it's Kindle, so it's your ebook and it's your paperback. This dashboard and the other dashboard that we looked at with ads, that none of that records hardcover sales. So if you happen to have Advantage and you've got hardcovers listed there, or if you have Ingram Spark and your Ingram Spark orders are, or Ingram Spark hardcover is linked on Amazon, you may have people going in and finding your book, and then the book, you know, they see that or they're bringing in to a paperback, but then they see there's a hardcover option and they choose that and they buy the hardcover. Your dashboard would not register a sale because that's off the platform. It's a hardcover. It doesn't count.
April, sorry, just to get into the hardcovers, what happens if, I remember you saying before that you can rent a space in Amazon so that they will fulfill the orders for you if they are hard copy? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If it is sold through that, would that show up?
No,
Okay.
no, it does not.
Okay. Is there a reason for
And
that?
that's Seller Central. If you,
Okay.
so it's kind of, you can think of Seller Central as like eBay, where you list books yourself and you're the seller and you put them on Amazon.
Got it.
Thing that gets sold through there, it's not going through the KDP platform. It's not print on demand. It's not an ebook, so it doesn't register. So you
Okay.
still have sales and, royalty. And what you really should be tracking is, how did I do for the royalties versus what it cost me, and to be able to see what it is that you've made this month, and are you running a profit. If you spent $5 to make $6, it's still a win. If you've made, if you're spending $10 to make 5, then there's something wrong. But you need to make sure that you are looking at all of the data, because and I think I had mentioned once, I was looking at ads for one of the authors, and I thought, oh, it's not bad, but she wasn't making much more than she was selling. It was pretty even. She was making a little bit ahead on the KDP dashboard. But then when I went into her Ingram Spark and took a look, she had sold 300 books, 300 hardcovers that month. So that's a big difference, right? Even if all she was getting was $1, and I think it was more like 2, that's 300 times that, dollar or two that was added to, and that was all royalties added to, the little bit that she was making on KDP. So just her specific book, people really wanted the hardcover, and so the ad drove them over to the hardcover.
April, are you talking specifically about these books, or it is some generic statement about something else?
I'm sorry, I'm not following you.
Okay, I am curious. Do you have knowledge of how we can see how many books Bobby sell? Gosh, my English was broke. Do you have any knowledge how many books Bobby sold on KDP versus how many books she sold hardcover of the same denomination, only in through other channels? Because there is an opinion, I guess, that soft covers do not sell as good as hard covers do.
Yeah, I'd have to analyze and go into her Advantage account and take a look at all the hardcovers that she sold. In some cases, it's a little misleading, because Bobby's goal has been to stop printing hardcovers and kind of transition over to print on demand. So we've been doing a lot more paperbacks, or trying to push paperbacks and hardcovers. I don't think she's got any Ingram Spark. I think she's just trying to run through her print inventory. So
we don't know.
she finishes with her inventory, she's just taking that off and bringing people through print on demand.
And one more thing, I'm pretty sure that if you click on a link, let's say, of your website, that purchase will show on this statistics on the reports, but it will not show in Amazon advertisement, because I believe Amazon advertisement only counts those sales which went through their ads.
You're right.
Pretty sure of it.
So what, and I'll just paraphrase that. When we're looking at the ads here, they are counting people where they clicked on a sponsored ad and then purchased either your ebook or your paperback. So that's what these sales are tracking. it's not tracking organic sales, which is what we just talked about, where somebody comes in and either searches for something and doesn't click on a sponsored ad, but they click on your book, they get they find it and they click on it and it's not sponsored. Or they go, you post a link on social media or on your website and they go directly to your listing and then purchase it. That's what we call organic. So you're driving the traffic in, and those people are buying from that. The other thing I'd like to say too about, besides the fact that the sales here can be very misleading, because there are other things happening with your books that may be a result of your ads that are not tallied. I'll give you another example. I've been working with another author who has a series of 6 books, and they're like boys comic book kind of like ads. I mean, not it's really cool, like Diary of a Wimpy Kid and things like that. So they're middle grade books, but there's a series of 6 of them. And so maybe you run an ad on book 1, and then as a result of checking out your ads on book 1, they're seeing book 2, book 3, book 4, and they might be purchasing additional books as a result of your ad, or they read book 1 as a result of an ad, then they go back in and they buy a second one and a third one and a fourth one. They don't really tally any of that as a result of ads. However, what you can see on your dashboard is the increased volume, that you can assume if you're not driving traffic into, here, for example, I don't want to have all these things, but there's a spike of sales, for example, on October 8th. If there was some special thing that was happening during that day, then you can kind of attribute some of that to a special campaign or something that was being done on social media. But there are also things that you'll see spikes and not even realize, like, how did this book sell? Maybe with regard to, if you're not even sending ads to things, how did that book end up selling all these extra copies? And those typically I attribute to ads, because it's ads, it's keywords, it's what you're doing to allow Amazon to index more and learn more about your book. And so it gets indexed better. The keyword terms that are associated with your book get updated. And then that in itself helps people find your book all that much better. So I've actually seen a lot of this where we see a big increase, but we don't see, we don't have that attributed in the Amazon ads here. So I'm going to also make mention of, like I said, things that are outside of, with hardcovers or FBA, Seller Central, where you're listing yourself or you're sending your books to Amazon to list for your hardcovers. Those don't get counted. And a lot of the other thing is, sometimes these figures here for sales are just purely wrong. They take a number of days to show up. And at times, let's just say Laura goes on and purchases my paperback. It's not going to show here on this ad thing until it's shipped. But it might show on the other dashboard or in another place on my Amazon account when it's purchased. So one of the things that when I was going through Brian Cohen's course, just like, it was like an ad challenge that has been recently going on. He mentions to take a look at how your ranking changes. If it's going up, your ranking's getting better, but you're not seeing sales, it's probably because people are buying things, but they're not shipped yet. So you're not seeing the sales come through to your sales dashboard. It may take, if they're backed up and it takes 3 or 4 days to get something shipped out, then it might take that long before you see things on your ad dashboard. And sometimes the numbers just don't match. They're just so off, and it's just obvious that the numbers are just not correct. So it can be an indicator of how the ads are doing, but it cannot be the only indicator. Make sense?
April, just a fast question to get not too off topic, but when somebody does buy the book, does the payment for Amazon and your royalty get made right after purchase, or is it paid after shipment? Because people can cancel orders.
Right. They can cancel or return things, and then
Yes.
they'll get returned. My understanding, and I would have to, do a little more research and make sure that I'm correct here, is if you sell something, that it's when it's shipped that they actually charge the individual's credit card for that. And then once that happens and it's actually been shipped out, that's when you'll see the sale. Ultimately, we hope that that's when we would see the sale reflected on the ad campaigns. Actually, it's about 3 days behind. So it takes a few days for sales that happen to actually show up on the ads here. They do tend to show up quicker on the dashboard, on the reports where we just looked at on KDP. So I know that there's been a lot. I see some discussions here about Jay's recommendation about not purchasing ads or reducing the number of ads. So while I haven't followed everything, I've been a little behind on keeping up with the stuff from Jay's group, just because my time has been so limited. But in general, I know that he's been reporting spending less on ads and selling more. So I think when Jay first started with on publishing things on Amazon, he spent a lot on ads, and that was the primary focus of where, how he was driving traffic to the book. And I think Jay's a master marketer. He's been doing some really great things on social media, driving people more that way. He's also been getting a lot more, doing a lot of additional things outside of that, like school visits and full page ads in magazines, in the like Publishers Weekly magazines, to drive people towards his books. So those types of things, obviously the less you spend on ads, the more, profit you'll make. The other thing that I also, when we had John, oh sheesh, now I'm gonna forget his name. We had another author the one that wrote Seeds and Trees. Jonathan, oh no, hold on. Now it's gonna bug me. I've got to go look up Seeds and Trees because I want to quote things correctly and give him credit. Seeds and Trees children's book. Who has written that book? There it is. Brandon Walden. Yes. So I have, if you listen to the interview with Brandon Walden, he talks about launching Seeds and Trees. And he spent, I think in his first month, he said he spent a couple $1,000s on ads. And then he spent so much on ads that a lot of it helped serve up his book so much, so often, that Amazon very quickly learned what terms were very valuable for his book. It indexed him for a ton of keywords that came out of all of that $2,000, ad spend. And then he was able to back off and almost turn off his ads completely, because he had all of this now organic traffic coming, and he was indexed, and he had high rankings for keyword spots that were very valuable keywords as a result of all the ad spend that he did up front. So that is also another part that allows you, once you've really built up some good groundwork for your book, and Amazon really knows it, you've got your keywords ranking correctly, now you can start to pull back on keywords. Okay, so I don't want to get through this whole thing without actually going through creating a campaign. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go here and I'm going to click Create Campaign. And here is Sponsored Products. That's where I'm going to focus you guys on creating your the easiest campaign to create is an automatic campaign. And what I would normally do is, let's just say fairy.
Are you muted, April, or am I the only, is it my computer?
I couldn't hear either, Sarah.
Okay.
Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. I don't know how it automatically muted me. So I don't know where it cut out, but I'll just start by saying we're creating.
You're not sharing your screen, April.
Yes, I am.
You are?
See it?
I can see
Oh,
this screen.
sorry. Never mind. Somehow I have you on big. Okay. Sorry.
So, so a campaign name, what you want to try to do is create, use some sort of naming convention, so that when you have a bunch of ads, like what I have with Bobby's, you'll be able to know which book that you're looking at. So let's just do, I'm going to do the treasury. So I'm just going to call it TREAS. And oof, sorry, I've got a beetle just flew into my hair. He's been bugging me all day. So I'm going to do an automatic ad. And I'm going to put it at 32 cents. So when I'm writing this campaign, I kind of have in my mind what I want to do, because I've been doing this for so long. But I want this campaign name to be easy for me to be able to look at it and determine exactly what this this campaign is. It's the Fairy Book Treasury automatic ad with a 32-cent bid that was created on 10/20. So that's kind of how I do like a little bit of a naming convention. And we can put a daily budget of $5. I mean, Amazon's not going to spend that. It usually takes time to build up to a $5 a day budget. I mean, some of the ads I put together for her is $20 a day, $100 a day. It does take time for Amazon to even build up to spend any kind of daily budget near this. If you feel a little scared or concerned that it's going to spend too much money, you could even put a couple of dollars a day. And then the automatic targeting is already selected here. So we're going to leave that. One thing here with the campaign bidding strategy, they default to dynamic up and down bids. And what that means is that Amazon will raise your bid by up to 100% more than what you bid if they think that it's more likely to get a sale, or they'll lower it by 100% if they think it's less likely to get a sale. The way I look at it is I don't want Amazon messing with my ads. I don't want them messing with my bids. So I do either down only or just fixed bids. I just prefer to decide what my bid amount is going to be instead of seeing it bleed a lot of extra money. So now what I'll do is I'll go into the best fairy books. Let me go to Treasury. Best fairy.
April, just curious, Bobby's books, are they linked?
What do you mean?
No, you can link books on your account, and when somebody look at one of your books, they can see other books in it. Do you know if they are linked?
Are you talking about like a series?
No, not like a series. You can link any books, to the best of my understanding. Doesn't have to be the same book of a different, edition or anything.
April, I think she's maybe talking about the A+ content. You know how we can have the other books at the bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe is that what you're
No,
talking about, Marina?
I don't have A+ content. I just do know I can link books.
Oh.
Like on your author page on Amazon, Marina?
No, it's on KDP.
Yeah, so the linking of books is typically like the ebook and the paperback get linked, but I think we might be talking about something different. I'm not.
I thought that you can link any books.
Yeah, let's given the short time.
Okay, sorry.
With this, I think I'd like to just focus on the ad, and then we can follow up on that towards the end if we still have time, Marina.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take much of a time. I just wanted to understand better how to interpret things. Sorry.
Yep, no worries. So I put the 32 cents here, and somebody might say, April, how did you come up with that 32-cent bid? I've just been doing this for a long time, and for some ads, especially around the holidays and building up to the holidays, trying to start with 14 cents or 20 cents usually doesn't end up getting a lot of traction. It doesn't. And think about the ads as it's really an auction. If I bid 10 cents for a keyword and Karina bids 32 cents or 12 cents, she's going to win that bid. And so if a lot of people are, 30 cents or more, then I'm going to have to, in order to get certain keywords or get served with impressions, then my bids need to be competitive. And so you can start with less than this, but for me, I've seen 32 as like a kind of a good mid-range. In some cases, I can back off on the amount and go down over time and readjust it. Other times I will see it not have any impressions, and I'll go back in and move it up maybe to 52 cents just to see if I can get something happening with the ad.
April, sorry, just a fast question with the bids. Is that also per the categories that you pick within your book, like what you want in your book? So if you have, for example, a category with like just say animals and their animal features in children's books and animal anatomy in children's books, and it's a 32-cent bid, can that go up or down depending on which categories you pick for how high you rank? Or is it overall in all children's books?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you for asking the question. So this particular type of ad is automatic ad, which basically says we're going to put our trust in Amazon based on their knowledge of buying habits, browsing habits. Amazon also looks at the keywords and categories that we have selected. So the metadata of our book. And based on all of that, it's indexed your book to have specific keywords and people that are interested. So let's just say my book might be in some anti-bullying categories, emotions. So it might say, oh, okay, this book is in that category. So when other books that might be in that category are being viewed, this might be a good book to try to put in that place and serve up. It also will look at your keywords and see, I have anti-bullying and I have emotions, self-confidence, and terms like that. So when people are searching for those things, it's going to say, okay, those keywords say that this book is relevant for those topics, those keyword phrases. Now, the other thing that happens is Amazon continues to learn. If time and time again they serve up anti-bullying for my book and people don't click on it, or they click on it and they don't buy, then my book they say, oh, this isn't a good one for that keyword term. It's not really relevant. It's not resulting in sales. So they do all of their magic and guesstimates based on what it learns about my book throughout this ad. There are other types of ads, Laura, that allow you to target categories or keywords, and also specific products that you want to target, meaning other books, other authors. So, but for this specific easy automatic ad, it's just one bid for, whatever Amazon decides to put your book in front of.
Okay, so you can have it generalized or more specific depending.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Okay, perfect.
It'll be a different type of ad.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
So now there's negative keyword targeting. There's negative product targeting. And when it says anything that says negative, it means, are there any phrases or things that if somebody types this, don't show my book? You can put them in here. If there's a keyword or a product, for example, let's just say, my book.
Trump.
What's that?
Trump.
Drum.
Trump.
Oh, there you go. But if my, if based on my experience, a certain search term or a list of search terms just doesn't do well for my book, then I might have a negative keyword list. Until you move forward and you do some testing, you probably aren't going to have any negative keywords until you've monitored your ads for a while and you see, oh, every time somebody searches for this, I'm spending a lot of money, but it's not resulting in any orders. So I'm going to make it a negative term because I don't want them to serve up my book if somebody searches for that specific phrase. It's not good for me. Okay. So right now, we're not going to worry about anything negative. I'm just going to click launch campaign. And so now she has an automatic ad. It says, congratulations, you've successfully created it. It's got the daily budget. It's got the fixed bids. Now, if I want to go back to campaign manager, I can create another campaign. And now I'll show you a slightly different path. before I go in, or while I name this campaign, does anybody have any questions about the automatic one that we just put together?
Yes, I have two. I noticed that you did not put an end date. I don't know if that's purposeful. And secondly, did the 32 cents mean every time that someone clicked on your book, you paid 32 cents?
So it means up to 32 cents. If, for example, the going rate for the bid is 12 cents, then I'm only going to pay 12 cents. So I'm willing to go up to 32 cents, but it won't, you'll see in some cases, it'll be charging you less than that per click.
April, this might be a dumb question, but I don't understand what you're talking about when it's saying up to a bid. Like, I don't understand, what is it? Who is bidding?
So it's the keywords and ads like this. It's, you know, we're saying we're willing to pay a certain dollar amount or certain, you know, 32 cents in this circumstance of what I just went through. I'm willing to pay 32 cents a click.
Okay,
Now, if 80% of the people that are advertising for this keyword term are paying 50 cents or more, my measly 32 cents isn't going to get served up. Amazon only has so many impressions they can deliver. And
okay.
the higher bid, so it's kind of like an auction. So the people that are bidding, like the going rate maybe is more like 52 or 55 or 75. If there are terms that are really relevant to my book, but they want me to spend 75 cents to get there, it's not worth it. I need to find maybe other keyword phrases that are less expensive in order to, because I don't want to be spending $1 a click on something. That's ridiculous, right? So, but there are some people out there that do spend crazy amounts, especially around the holiday. And traditional publishers around this time start spending a lot on their ads. And for them, it's more about getting their brand out, getting their brand in the mind of people who are shopping, and it's worth more for them. So yeah, it might take a little longer for you to find phrases that are not going to cost you a lot of money.
Okay, thank you.
And Pat, you also asked me about the end date. So I do know that there are people that say if you put an end date on your campaign, Amazon pays more attention to it. I have experimented with that a lot. With end date, without end date, an end date that's short, an end date that's longer. And I've never seen entering an end date do anything positive. So I just typically leave the end date off. But I do realize, like, I was just running through an ad course, and the individual said, you know, put a week out or whatever for your ad end date, and then you can always move it. And they feel like it's going to make Amazon pay more attention. I just don't, of all of the time I've been working on ads, I've never seen that be true. And I have tested it a number of different ways. If you want to test with and without end dates, you're more than, it's fine. You can go ahead and do that.
Well, then do you have,
April, go ahead.
well, do you also have to have different strategies then around the holidays? Because then you're competing against more people and more pricing. In other words, do you have to like strategize in terms of the money you want to spend around the holidays and up that particular amount maybe?
There certainly is a lot, you know, to factor in. Sometimes it's, you know, trying to get the very best possible keywords that you can. Other times it's getting, you know, maybe ignoring or turning down those keyword phrases that are spending a lot of money because everybody's searching for them, and trying to find another way of targeting. It might be a category, a subcategory. something that's less competitive.
Mhm.
You know, just the same thing as finding keyword phrases in Amazon. You want to try to find something that's not, you know, thousands of people are already targeting.
Mhm. Okay, thank you.
So, and it does, you know, some of it's trial and error, like anything else. Something that may work really well for me may not work well for you. I've had some authors who do really well with category ads or keyword ads. Some do really well with automatic ads. So, you know, and others, the automatic ads don't do much for them at all. All right, so let's see. So this is manual. I'm going to do 32 cents. So instead of an automatic ad now, I'm going to do a manual ad. And I'm going to do, we'll just do product 1020. So as I'm walking through this, it's slightly different, but I'll put the same, you know, $5 budget. And instead of automatic now, I'm going to go and choose manual.
Hello.
And again, I do not want Amazon playing with my bids, so I'm going to leave that at fixed. And I'm going to Best Fairy Books Treasury. Just move that over. So I'm going to do this on the same book. And I can choose with manual ads, you can choose keywords or you can choose to target products. I'll walk through kind of the benefits of each. Now, if I have a list of keywords, for example, I have done, you know, lots of keyword analysis and pulled together some keyword phrases and things that are specific to Bobby's book. So I could paste all those keywords in here and then move, you know, bid on. So here we're going to just do, instead of suggested bid, I'm going to select custom bid, because if I would have left it alone, Amazon can be a little sneaky. They would have just moved over every keyword I have here as 75-cent bid. And that's way too high for what we want to do. So I always choose custom and then put it at the, in this instance, I'm going to put it at 32 cents. Now, when you're doing keywords, you can do broad, phrase, or exact. Does anybody know what the difference is between these? Anybody have an idea? Go ahead, Laura.
Okay, so I think exact is exactly what you write. So for example, children's books about dogs, they're going to look for that exact keyword. A phrase, so say like a keyword sentence within a bigger sentence.
Exactly.
Okay, and then broad means very generic. So if you say my dog eats unicorns, sorry for being graphic, so I don't think I can think of, they're gonna find all books about dogs and unicorns.
Right.
Okay.
Yep. And broad is like, yeah, really outside of the whole thing. What I normally do when I'm doing a big keyword list is I'll do phrase, phrase and exact, or just exact. However, when you're first starting with a new book and a new ad, sometimes hitting broad, which means it's going to pull in a lot more keywords for you, then you're able to like, for example, fairy. Let's do picture books about fairies. Fairy book for children ages 4 to 8. Kids book about fairies. So these are, you know, common phrases and things like that. So in the instance where somebody searches for picture books, if I have broad, it will, you know, this is definitely, it's going to hit on this. If
So
I
sorry, for broad, for picture books for about fairies, they may even show books like Peter Pan because there's a fairy in it, correct?
well, it depends whether or not that is associated with that keyword.
So Tinkerbell basically from all
Yeah,
the
I
Disney
mean,
shows. Okay.
if there's a picture, if somebody has a keyword, or I should say, an associated product that just has the word picture in it, if it's broad, it might take picture, um,
Uh,
or just the word book, and it might serve my ad up for somebody that just says, where it says the word books is in there.
so it's
I believe it's
extremely broad.
So it
I believe it's not
really goes,
just might, I will. I mean, it will.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally pushing it everywhere.
yeah. So it
Okay.
really goes wide. And so what would be does anybody have an idea of what the benefit might be of using broad, like of having it just go really wide like that?
More people would see it.
Yeah, more people will see it. And sometimes you just have a surprise, like, oh wow, I never thought about that keyword combination, but all of a sudden, you know, something's really good, and it clicks and you're getting a bunch of sales on something you never would have thought of. So that can be really helpful. On the other hand, it can also be, you know, detrimental. It can spend a lot more money because it will, you know, it will search for things where somebody types, you know, picture hangers, or, you know, something that's totally different and not really related. So there
I think broad can be used a little bit like a category. For example, if you
Kind
use
of.
picture or book, it's not useful for broad. But if you say fairies, and it will start showing it every time people mention fairies, it may be beneficial. It's kind of an exposure thing. So dogs or something else, it does have its perks.
Yeah, I agree.
Expensive.
I agree. And then with this here, picture books, if we had the phrase that, and this was the keyword, so the whole keyword phrase here is picture books about fairies. So exact would mean that it would only show if I type exactly this, picture books about fairies. If phrase is selected, then picture books would also result in a hit for my, so it would trigger, yeah, this would come up. Of course, there's a lot more factors than just the keywords. It's, you know, the bid amount and how applicable my book is and all of that other stuff. But if we're just looking at keyword targeting, Amazon does this across the board as the default. It wants you to do all of them. And what it will do is it'll move all of these phrases once in broad, once in phrase, once in exact. I typically, you know, if I'm just starting an ad and I want to experiment with broad, I will, but more often than not, it's phrase and exact that I'll pull together and use. Especially if I needed, you know, if I want to do something with specific keywords that I've already analyzed. So here I just clicked to add the keywords, and now we've got keywords added. You still, like the other automatic ads, you have the opportunity to enter negative keywords, and then you can launch your campaign. Now I also, let me see if I switch this, if it can allow me to show you the difference with a default. This is a product. So instead of keyword targeting, if we were to go to product targeting, again, we would do the 32 cents like I identified above. Now you can search for a category, or you can go through individual products. So for example, if I wanted to target fairy books or fairy book, let's just do fairy book. If there are a bunch of other fairy books that are popular, I could, you know, basically I would normally come into this with a list of competitors that I wanted to target. And I'd go in with the ASINs and just pull it up. And I would probably enter a list of the ASINs. But you can also come here and search for, let me see, Fancy Nancy Treasury. I think that's one of them. Treasury. There are a few that, so Mother Goose Treasury, Treasury of Greek Mythology. So these are, you know, things that are similar to this fairy book treasury. And so here's a fairy tale collection, Treasury of Christmas Stories. So you can click to target. You can also look at what Amazon suggests. So it suggests that maybe you want to target these. Perhaps, I don't know how they come up with this, except that their algorithm pulls, you know, puts it together. Now you can also, you can mix and match, right? You can have individual products and also go in and have categories as well. And what I would do here is go into the category search, and I would go down to books. And then children's books. And you can find all of the different categories for children's books. Let's see if we can find the.
There's also subcategories for those categories, right?
Yes, yeah. So if you click on these, you can get into all. So all of the categories that are available for you to target. Now, obviously, if you're going to target children's humor, not such a good idea because it's so competitive. But if you know, maybe if you go deeper into some of the more niche categories, then you'll have an opportunity to maybe it won't be quite so competitive. So this is something you can play with and test out for your own. So here's children's holiday books, Christmas books. A lot of people are targeting things like this, things like racism and emotions, and you know, during back to school season, it was, you know, school topics and things like that that were very, very competitive, which means it's going to cost you a lot more. What was that question?
Oh, I was just saying go to Halloween because my national holiday is coming up.
Your Halloween holiday.
It's my national holiday.
Yeah. So there's non-religious, oh, here's Halloween books. Yeah, so if you were to target Halloween books, it is quite expensive. I did find this out when we did the Waverly the Witch. We were targeting Halloween, and we found it was quite expensive to do. And we had to refine things and pull the bid down so that it wouldn't spend quite so much money. Okay, so you can see, I mean, obviously, as you're going in and pulling these things together, I'm looking at children's money and saving. This might be a good one for Jasmine on, you know, a boy, a budget, and a dream, because this is not a really common and highly competitive category, but people that are in there looking for these types of books would, you know, if your book gets served up, then that will be a good opportunity to be able to just target those folks that are in a specific category. You don't have to go in and go pull up all the individual products that are really popular. So you can see the difference once you have the categories. So we've got, right now it says I've got 4 targeted, and I can then come down and click to launch the campaign. So you can do products or keywords. You can't do both on these manual ads, one or the other. Okay, any questions on that one?
Is it a separate campaign? When you arrange this particular approach, it has to be a separate campaign, right? It can be part of existing.
So it would be, it's its own campaign. Yes, each one of these has its own campaign that you're setting up. So normally when I'm setting up a new book, I'll do an initial like automatic ad. I'll take a look at categories and see if we can get some less competitive categories and test that out a little bit for the book. And then I'll also do a keyword one, and then I'll do a product. You know, the keywords I will include product ASINs as well as a number of keyword phrases. And if you were able to catch the interview with Dave Chesson, he had some great ideas on, you know, keywords and how to come up with great keywords in that interview. And he's got the KDP Rocket, or Publisher Rocket it's called now. So that tool is one of a few of them that I use to pick really good keywords. So, you know, there's that kind of stuff happens outside of the tool. And then I get my keyword list and then move forward, you know, with the keyword targeting here. So these, I normally do a keyword one, a product one, an automatic one. So that's 3 campaigns. And then probably a category, a specific category one. So I might play around with, you know, 4 or 5 different campaigns just to get things rolling with the ad, with the new book. And it takes, I would say, a few days, a week, sometimes 2 weeks to start seeing traction on your ads and to start really being able to judge whether the ad is good or not so good. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else here in the questions. So I didn't actually enter this category campaign. Let me just see what I can put in here. I should probably click on something here that we can target. Keyword targeting. Okay, now this is one of the things that I mentioned when we were setting up both in the categories and in the keyword. You'll see sometimes suggested. Amazon suggests the keyword based on products in your ads. So it knows enough about Bobby's Fairy Tale Treasury that it's pulling up these books and these terms that were really good ones for her book or that have worked well in the past for her. Wow. I'm not going to put it on that. So there. So Peter Pan books for kids, Best Fairy Books Treasury, Fairy Book. So a lot of these are, have been used, or Amazon just thinks, hey, these might be good for your book. And so you can go in and take a look at what they suggest, and you can do add all, or you can go to the specific terms and add them one at a time. I'm just going to add them all.
April, one of her suggested words, Bobby Hinman. Do you advertise on yourself?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay.
Because if somebody searches for me or my books, I would want to be the one that comes up at the top. I don't want other people to kind of hijack my search term for me as an author or me or my books. I don't want them to have to scroll to page 2 or page 3 if they're searching for my name or my book title. So I'm just going to click now, launch campaign. And that's good. So we kind of went through a couple of campaigns. I'm sure if you're anything like I was when I first started seeing ads, it was really crazy confusing. The more you play with it, look at it, get familiar with it, the easier it gets. And I will have a replay of this session posted so that if when you watch things multiple times, sometimes you can pause, you can try something, and then restart the video and try a little something along with it. So it might make it a little bit easier for you to retain the information as well. Anybody have any questions about this before I end the topic? I know we've gone probably a little over an hour on this, just because it takes a while to get through all of the different pieces of what can be done with ads. So I want to pause for a second, and then I want to talk about portfolios and what you can do with a portfolio. And then we'll kind of wrap up the ads portion and then move on to just open for any questions that you guys have on anything. Okay. All right. So a portfolio is kind of like, let me just go in here. I'm going to create a portfolio that says this is Treasury. So maybe I want to put all the ads for this fairy book Treasury in one place. Or maybe I want to do, it's kind of a bucket of ads. In one, I worked with Mary Nin to help set up some ads for her earlier today. And we had her box sets. So she had a portfolio of only her box sets, and we had everything, all of the ads that we created together were specifically for that. So I'm just going to create the portfolio. And one of the things that you can do with a portfolio, now we named it, and then let me modify the portfolio over here. You can come in and you can add a budget cap to it. So I can say I want to spend no more than say $50 a month. Monthly budget cap, $50 a month on this particular portfolio. You can end the spending on a certain date. So no matter what happens, if you have, even though you might have 5 or 6 ads under it that have, $20 a day, $5 a day, $100 a day, if you put it in a portfolio that caps your spending at a certain amount per month, then when that cap hits, it pauses the ads and then it restarts it up again when the month begins, when the new month begins. which can be beneficial if you're afraid of like runaway ads, or you're not checking your ads as often and you want to make sure, hey, I have a certain budget of, you know, $50 a month, $100 a month, $500 a month, whatever it is, and I don't want to spend more than that. You put things in a portfolio, you can limit or create this monthly cap, and then save here. And when you go into your campaigns and look at the actual ads, let's just see campaign. So I can go in, and when I'm setting up ads, campaign settings, I can actually put them in the treasury portfolio. And when you're setting up a new ad, you can do that, or you can go into the portfolio and add certain campaigns and just, you know, click off the campaigns that go into the portfolio. You can do it either way. Okay. I also just want to show you this area over here. In your campaign settings, there's an option for you to add specific, like increase by a certain percent, custom bid adjustments for placements below the top of search. So I know we've kind of spent a little bit of time experimenting with this, but let's just say for my 32-cent ad, I'm willing to go up to double that, increase by 100% if you can put me in the top position. You can play around with this. It can be very costly though. I can tell you that much. It can be very expensive, because if they put you at the top and people are clicking on and not buying, you're going to get a lot more clicks, and it's going to be, you know, that amount is going to continue to eat away at your ad budget. So I would normally do this like for maybe best-selling keywords. Like if I let these few ads run and I go back in and I see, oh, these are like a handful of keywords, phrases that are doing really, really well, I might put them in their own ad separate. And then I might experiment with this for those, because I know the conversion for those, the sales are coming. And so it's not like I would want to bid for all terms, especially in the experimentation phase. I wouldn't want to go crazy with this early on. I would do this more as we were refining things later. Okay. All right, before I switch off of ads, does anybody have any final questions?
You have a good way to keep all this stuff organized? It is a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of stuff. I really tend to more, download things that I'm analyzing. There are reports available for your campaigns.
Okay.
So you can download things, and you can see here that I've, run a number of reports and schedule reports. And so once that happens, you just click here. You're able to download the information in a spreadsheet and then analyze it.
Right.
So that can, oh yeah, here's the download link. So if I wanted to download this one, I can show you. It does make it a little bit easier. So here's the date, the campaign specifically.
Okay.
the targeting. So this is what search term it actually used. And this is what the customer searched for. So you see surrogacy books for children ended up hitting on Bobby's book for book, because books for children was, probably a broad or a phrase
Mhm.
that was in some of her keywords. So obviously that's not very applicable to Bobby's book, but that happened 6 times in this particular month.
Right.
So if there were a lot of impressions, things like this, where it doesn't make any sense, that's when you would, get a list of negative search terms and say, I don't want to pay for clicks on those.
Right.
But every single thing that got clicked on, the cost you paid per click. So you can see some are 7 cents, 13, 21, 12. The spend and what